Hello and welcome to a special edition of 310 to Left. I'm Tom Caron from Nesson. He's Alex Spear from the Boston Globe. Alex, how are you?
I'm great, Tom. Good to see you again. Glad that you're back from the wilderness or the ocean or wherever it is that you've been hiding on special assignment.
You did an admirable job flying solo. I enjoyed the conversation with Rob Refsnyder. He is always a great conversation, but it was fun to sit back and watch the show and not have to be part of it.
Yes, well, obviously we felt bereft and adrift without the captain, but we made do and tried to find our way. No compass though.
Yeah, you did. You did well. You did well. And your encyclopedic knowledge of baseball came through. And I asked you this week, Alex, how deep is your reservoir of knowledge when it comes to banana ball?
It is barely it's barely the depth of a glass, but I love it. I love watching like most people, I haven't experienced it in person. I have watched plenty of clips of it. I find it mesmerizing just about any time. You can't help but in one of your timelines to encounter the Savannah Bananas doing something absurd on a baseball field and thinking like, I have to see that. So that's about the extent of my knowledge, passing interest. Reading articles and all gleaned secondhand. How about you, Tom? I think that you have a bit more of a direct connection to the banana ball experience.
I should have. Oh, I am wearing my T-shirt. I didn't even realize that. I'm wearing my Savannah Bananas World Tour T-shirt. If you can see that, there you go. I did get to see a game last year at Headlock Field in Portland, and it was remarkable. Jesse Cole is from the South Shore. Grew up loving baseball. Was actually a college player and was injured. And wanted to find a way to stay involved in the game, got involved in minor league baseball, and then had this idea of how to make the game more fun and exciting. There are some great rules that they have tweaked to make baseball become banana ball. My favorite of which, if a fan catches a foul ball in the air, the batter is out. So you're actually part of the game. I also love the fact that every inning is won or lost. You get a point for winning an inning, which means you could have 9 walk-off hits in one game, and that enough is enough excitement for anybody. How about you? Any rules you particularly enjoy from banana ball, Alex?
Well, I mean, the obvious thing is the tricks, right? Like, trick plays and the appeal, the encouragement that they're given leads to remarkable displays of athleticism on the field, right? Like, we kind of freak out when we see Cedar Rafaela flying across the air, or in the style of Jackie Bradley Jr. By the way, I would love to see Jackie Bradley Jr. one day playing banana ball, but that's a different story. I think that he
Yes.
would be one of the great entertainers, should he ever sign on and show off for his kids. But I think that is just dazzling, and like you, the whole idea of fan engagement and participation in the outcomes, whether it be catching a ball for an out or taking part in figuring out replays, is unbelievable. Although that does raise a question for me, Tom. So, as someone who's experienced it, who's gone to the games, is it how is it as a viewing experience? Like, or is it easy to kind of follow along the game that you're seeing? This strange relative of baseball as we know it that's arrived at the dinner table.
Well, it's much more immersive, right? It's 360. I mean, the game begins with fans waiting outside because every seat is general admission. So even though I did pull free tickets for the game, I said, "Are they good seats?" They said, "Depends when you get there." So you get there early and you wait in line, and the Bananas march in as a marching band to open the gate, and you form a parade with them, and you go in and you pick out your seats. But during the game itself, last innings pitcher may suddenly be behind you singing to someone. The players will come into the crowd and do a dance routine. This happens regularly. After a double, the entire team will storm out to second base and do a choreographed dance piece before going back in the dugout and the game resumes. And then my favorite moment, of course, was when all the lights suddenly went out. You didn't know this was coming. And the batter lit his bat on fire, and the rest of the at bat was performed with a burning bat. They constantly add things. Jesse Cole told me that night there were 12 things they did that night that they had never done before, and they constantly change the show and change the event. And it's important to note that there's no scripted win or loss. When it comes to the game itself, the two teams are competing. I think at one point last year, the Bananas had lost more games than they had won against the Party Animals. So when you bring up the Globetrotters with them, they bristle a little bit because while it is obviously some of the same showmanship, it is not a choreographed game. The sporting event itself is legitimate, and they are playing to win. Both teams are playing to win. It's really, really fun.
It's pretty fascinating. Actually, it's kind of related to. I just saw a play in Boston, Tony Stone, about the woman who was a player in the Negro Leagues, and it reminds me. Hearing about Banana Ball in many ways reminds me of the style of play of what, for instance, the Indianapolis Clowns would do as a kind of traveling team that would not only play highly competitive baseball with great skill, but also there would be kind of in-game entertainment and routines that were built in. Sometimes sometimes not to the delight of the players, but in this case with the Bananas, it is 100% to the delight of the players, who have found kind of a calling, I think, in terms of what it means to turn baseball back to compete at a very high level and to show incredible athletic skill. When you see those trick plays, you're seeing things that not a lot of people in the world can do. But at the same time, the pull, there seems to be this like joy and this allure for all of those who are taking part in Banana Ball as an entertainment and something and a spectacle for the people who are there. It's pretty wild, and I'm really excited to find out more.
Yeah, it's okay to remember once in a while that it's okay to have fun. I think we forget that sometimes. We get so serious about all this, but not Jesse Cole. He's serious about entertainment, but he is having the time of his life. He will join us now in his customary yellow tux. Jesse Cole, the founder of Banana Ball and the Savannah Bananas, is the guest on this edition of 310 to Left. He is the man in the yellow tux. In fact, last time I checked, he had 9 of them. I don't know if that has grown since. You know him for his work with the Savannah Bananas and Banana Ball, the phenomenon that has swept the nation. What you might not know is he's one of us from the South Shore, grew up a Red Sox fan. Jesse Cole joins us. Jesse, Todd Karen, Alex Spear here at 310 to Left. I got to ask you right out of the gate. This thing has gone crazy. It's gotten so big. You have millions of people on the waiting list. We know the story. But where does playing at Fenway Park fit in with the dreams come true that you've experienced over the last few years?
This is as big as it gets. For a kid that grew up in Scituate, watching Jody Reed and Wade Boggs and Phil Plantier and Mo Vaughn and all those guys as I was a kid. I know those are some names you haven't heard in a while, but that's who I was watching. So all of a sudden then, seeing the World Series run. It was everything. I mean, I bought $5 bleacher tickets back in the day, and I got to be honorary bat boy for the Red Sox for a game and had some very special moments. I got to pitch at Fenway, when I was 20 years old in an All-Star game in the Cranberry League. And so now to be able to, bring the Bananas, sold out crowd, over 37,000 fans. It's hard to describe the feelings that myself and everyone in our organization is feeling going into this.
So how exactly did you go from watching the Mo Vaughns and Phil Plantiers of the world to thinking, you know what, I'm going to topple the entire structure of baseball on its head and reimagine how the sport looks?
Well, that wasn't the goal. The goal was, again, to play. And, I was fortunate, Boston College offered a scholarship. Northeastern offered a scholarship. I went down south to Wofford to play in some warmer weather after my senior year in high school, getting snow on April 1st. So I think I made that decision was slightly wisely. But, I had the goal to play professional baseball, tore my shoulder. That ended my career. I never play again. And I somehow got in the front office as an intern working for a team, became a general manager, struggled like crazy, ended up buying a team, and then went to Savannah. And when I started Savannah, I realized that, hey, minor league baseball just hasn't been working out in this market. We need to change the game and we need to make it fun. And so I said, what if we had, dancing players, breakdancing coaches, we had a senior citizen dance team, the Banana Nanas, a male cheerleading team, the Mananas. I said, let's just having fun. And we did that and started working in traditional baseball. But I realized that fans were still leaving games early. And I said, we need to go all the way. And that's when we started creating Banana Ball. In my idea book back in 2018, started writing out ideas, and we tested. And so, basically it goes from watching the game to watching your fans and watching every movement and watching, what would be the most exciting baseball game to watch? How do you eliminate the boring things like the mound visits and the walks and the stepping out of the box? And how do you add the fans into the game, like fans catching foul balls for outs? We just looked at it all. and then just started testing. And, with a one city world tour 3 years ago to now, playing in front of 1 million fans this year, 6 major league stadiums, and then, at Fenway Park, you couldn't write this stuff up.
And getting a crowd, as I understand it, to come watch the World Tour announcement, right? You actually have a crowd on hand to watch where you're going to play next season be announced.
It was wild, 250,000 people watching it online, and fans flew in from 37 states, 4 countries for our schedule release. It is wild, and but that makes us feel like we have a responsibility, and that's why every night we do 10 to 15 things we've never done in front of a live crowd every single night, and that's part of our obligation to make sure that it is special, it is unique, it is exciting, and we've been working on these plans for Fenway for a while, and we're working every minute to try to make sure this is a show no one will ever forget.
So it's fascinating for me to some of your influences are P.T. Barnum as well as Walt Disney. Obviously, you worked in the minor league world, but as someone who I kind of geeked out at times about popular entertainments, I'm interested. Like, how have you? Who are your influences? How have you formed this idea of what qualifies as entertainment, and how did you who are the influences that formed Banana Ball?
Yeah, well, it started with Walt Disney. I've read every book that ever was written about Walt Disney, and I'm one of the few people that when I go to Walt Disney, I'm just looking at everything. I'm looking walking around a bathroom looking around, like I'm looking at every single detail because I became obsessed with the experience. And P.T. Barnum, how to create attention, how to bring a group of misfits together to get people excited about something special. That's kind of what we're doing. We're bringing a group of people that didn't get the opportunity to play Major League Baseball, many of them AA, AAA, but never get that final level to come together and put on a show. And I look at everyone. I studied Amazon, I studied Apple, I studied the Grateful Dead. In the Grateful Dead, you have deadheads traveling around the country. Even now, many years after Jerry Garcia, they're still selling out places. And that's what it's about. And they're doing a different show every night. And I'm obsessed with the experience. I put myself in our fans' shoes. Like George Lucas said when he created Star Wars, you want to create a movie that he would love. And I'm trying to create a game that I would love, that I want to get bored at. And now my 6-year-old son and my 5-year-old daughter and my wife and my whole family, that they want to watch every single second. They don't even want to turn away. They don't want to go to the bathroom because they may miss something. That's the game we're trying to create.
I'm trying to imagine Banana and company playing the Sphere, but that's for another day. We'll get to that. I'll just an idea, Jesse. Take it and run.
One day
listen,
we'll play
one thing that wouldn't that be amazing? Field of Dreams around you in the Sphere. But one thing that blows me away is how many former major leaguers now you've gotten to come play, right? And we're not just talking guys the last couple of years. Roger Clemens came and played. Like, how did that start, and how have you sort of fed that conduit to keep that as an option?
It started with Jake Peavy, another, obviously a Red Sox hero in 2013. And, our One City World Tour was in Mobile, Alabama. And he's from Mobile, and he heard about it, he wanted to join us. And he came to that game. We had him throw the first banana because why would we do a first pitch? That's too normal. So he threw out the first banana. And afterwards, his nephew was there, and his nephew had just quit baseball. Great baseball player. He quit baseball. I said it was too boring. It just wasn't fun for him. His nephew watched the entire game, went to Jake after the game and said, "I'm back. I want to play because of this." And from that moment, Jake was like, "I've seen it. I felt it firsthand." And so Jake kept connecting us with more guys. And, from there, I think we've had now 4 or 5 Cy Young Award winners pitch for us, numerous All-Stars, World Series champions. And what's crazy is they reach out for us. They just want to have fun. And, obviously many Red Sox guys, Johnny Damon, Johnny Gomes, Papelbon in the past, they just want to have fun. And I think as I talk to every major leaguer that reaches out, I said, if you're had an opportunity to go out and it's not so serious, it's not so competitive, your kids can actually see you in front of a sold-out crowd, smiling and having fun the way the game was supposed to be played, and they get fired up. And I keep everybody a surprise, and it's really special moments that we create. And we've had a lot more reach out for future games, and we'll see where it goes.
I told you about this last year when we talked. I'm actually going to let you hear from him. You've had a profound effect on multiple major leaguers, but Jonathan Papelbon talks about playing for the Bananas as saving him in some ways. He was disillusioned with baseball. Here's what he said last week at Fenway Park when he was inducted into the Red Sox Hall of Fame. Check this out.
Well, then I had this really man, this baseball game is, man, I hate it. I don't I want no part of it. And then I realized After playing with the Savannah Bananas, really and truthfully, this is crazy that like, man, like I love this game. What am I doing? And like, I got to be a part of this game for as long as I can.
Jesse, how cool is that?
It's amazing. It's amazing. And he was all about it. He put on his kilt and he got out and he danced and he had fun. And, it takes a lot, a competitor like him to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to have fun. And that means we've kept a great relationship. So thanks for sharing. That's pretty special.
So obviously, you mentioned your own baseball background, and you were competing at a high level. And in addition to the major leaguers, though, you have some extraordinarily talented athletes who are taking part in these games. Like, does it ever boggle your mind to watch some of the stuff that guys are doing on the field? That, like, yeah, I mean, you almost wouldn't ever fathom doing a lot of this stuff in batting practice, right? Like when you're messing around and shagging, it's unbelievable to watch some of the limits your guys are pushing on the field.
Unbelievable is the right word. Every night I am shocked. I become like a little kid watching their hero do something because I've never seen things that they're doing. I mean, our last game on the road, the team had 24 trick plays. Our center fielder, DR Meadows, who does backflip catches in the middle of the game, who once did a barehanded backflip. He threw his glove, caught the ball barehand on a line drive, backflipped. He had 6 trick plays in that game. And I would argue there's very few people in the world that are doing things like him, and Ryan Cox, our shortstop, who already has more than 100 trick plays, who's, people compare it to Larry Bird, actually, the way he bounces the ball to himself and does things. I've seen that reference. I'm like, on a baseball field. And it's because we encourage it. DR Meadows in Cooperstown, our final game of the tour last year, it was a crucial game. This was literally the game that determined who would win the tour. And like I said, this is not the Globetrotters. Every game counts and it matters to these guys. In Cooperstown, the game on the line, the tour on the line, he went for a backflip and dropped it in front of a sold-out crowd. The next play, the next pitch, line drive, running back, he goes for the backflip again and nails it. That is heroic stuff. That is legendary. And we share those stories with our guys all the time. Our first basemen now are catching the ball like this on a regular putout. They're catching the ball behind their back on regular putouts. I've never seen that before. And I'm so excited because I see this stuff regularly now. I can't imagine when fans see it for the first time. It is unbelievable talent. I'm fortunate to be around these guys who keep pushing the envelope every single day in practice and every game to do things that have never happened before on a baseball field.
Have you ever had a major leaguer pull off a trick play?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. So we played the Major League alumni the past few years. And so the last year we played 3 games. So I know Jeremy Guthrie was doing trick plays. And then the shortstop that played for the Cardinals, Descalzo, he did a through the legs trick play as well. And so we just had this past weekend, our new team too, the Firefighters, performed the 5th ever backflip catch, a new guy, his first weekend. So it's coming along. Major leaguers and our new players are really taken to the game.
All right, I got to see you last year up at Hadlock Field with the Sea Dogs play. It was an unbelievable experience. It really is. For people who haven't seen this, who don't know what they're in for at Fenway Park, give us the quick version of the traveling road show that is the Savannah Bananas against the Party Animals Saturday at Fenway.
Well, we're bringing 250 people. So we're coming in both teams. We have, our senior citizen dance team, the Bananas. We have our breakdancing coaches, players on stilts. We have trick pitchers, trick hitters. We have all of our DJs. We do the whole broadcast ourselves. We bring the entire road show. And then we try to put on the fastest and most entertaining game in sports. And we have some games that are, an hour and 38 minutes, an hour and 40 minutes. We had a pitcher strike out a guy in 8.73 seconds. You think MLB, it's 15 seconds to throw one pitch. We had one guy strike someone out at 8.73 seconds. So it's speed. It's you don't want to blink. And, again, we're building the game of banana ball. My 6-year-old son, every day before he goes to school, we're out practicing trick plays. He just does trick plays. And he said that's what he loves to do because he watches his heroes in banana ball do it. And, I truly believe it's going to be a long road, but we're changing the game. We're creating some more fun, creating more excitement. And once you see banana ball, I think you'll see, wow, this was special.
And to be there in person is to really understand how engaged the fan base is, right? It's not just a great show. It's an interactive show, right? From the get-go, from the start. I mean, do you still do it every game where you're picking a fan who gets to have one replay where the captain or I can't remember. Yeah, tell us about that. I mean, just the fact that if you catch the ball, he's out. Like they're involved in the game.
Yeah, 100%. And then when we score our first run, our players will run through the crowd, high-fiving fans. We are breaking down the barriers because I think that's what makes the game great. I remember, if you guys heard the When It Was a Game, the old documentary many years ago, and they showed players during spring training meeting with the fans and fans bringing them cookies. And like, I watched, I was like, the game used to be like that. And then obviously, as it's grown, it's tough. You got to keep some confines, but we want to keep breaking down those barriers. And so our players will interact with our fans. They'll be in the crowd. We'll be passing out roses to little girls during the game. We'll be dancing with the fans in the crowd. And you know what? It gives great purpose to these guys to understand, who they're playing for. And when they see the fans and the response, I mean, we were in Houston, and I mentioned Clemens, but Roy Oswalt also joined us, and he came off the mound, and Jake Peavy was interviewing him, and Oswalt said that was louder than any World Series game he's ever been a part of. And like, that's wild to hear from me, and I just hope we can continue this. And it's obviously at Fenway, it's going to be as big as it gets, so we're excited.
It's pretty fascinating, right? Like, you guys are garnering more and more and more interest. This elevated kind of this snowball effect that's occurring with the passion for this at a time when minor league baseball, which you were a part of, has been contracting, right? Like the number of minor league teams has contracted. How do you reconcile these two developments? Like, how do you view the appetite for baseball as entertainment at a time when maybe the form that it's taken seems to be, has had some issues over the last few years?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we work really well with Major League Baseball, and I think there's, they're the best baseball players in the world. And we're not trying to have the best baseball players in the world. We're trying to have the most entertaining players in the world. And I think with minor league baseball, it's very clear. Your role is to develop as a player to be one of the best baseball players in the world. And they do a great job of that. And then the minor leagues, obviously, I know so many of those operators. We've gone to so many of their stadiums. They do a great job in keeping it fun. But again, it's very clear what the goal is, and it's for those players to develop. And I appreciate that. And I understand that. Our goal is to create the most entertaining and best possible fan experience in sports. And so we don't have as much red tape. We have the opportunity to do things that you probably can't do when you have a $9 million signing bonus and a top pick. You got to be more strategic. I get it. But I think we can coexist. And I hope that we're helping to bring more fans to the games, to these ballparks. And obviously Major League Baseball and their farm systems are bringing us more players, that because there is less minor league teams and independent players, they're reaching out to us as we grow this game. So I'm excited because I think it's only going to help each other. I want to play at more major league stadiums and bigger stadiums and bring this game to more people. And hopefully we'll continue to work together and really do what's best for the youngsters and building this game in the future.
Great ideas, great visions often take root because the timing is right? And the Bananas and Party Animals and Firefighters, you all come along in the TikTok age, right? So much of what happens, a great trick catch, a great trick play, a dance you do after a home run, whatever it is, right? It lends it. I mean, the Party Animals have more followers than any Major League Baseball team, not the Bananas, the Party Animals, which is crazy. But how much of that was originally part of your vision? How much of that has sort of developed organically as this has grown?
Well, you look at P.T. Barnum, he said something terrible happens without promotion, nothing. And if you go back into the 1800s, P.T. Barnum, without social media, without TV, without anything, he was creating unbelievable attention by creating these acts that were larger than life. And so, I've taken a lot of inspiration from him. And, we always say attention beats marketing 1,000% of the time. We don't do any marketing. We spend $0 on marketing. Our focus is to create moments that wow fans, that are unforgettable. And then we just capture them. We're lucky. We have cameras going out all the time. And so I think it's a great timing. Social media has been wonderful for us. I just think it's how you utilize it. Instead of trying to promote people to come to your event, you create such an unbelievable experience and epic moments. Then you share that, and that draws more people wanting to see it live. So we have an amazing team. If you guys knew the amount of time we put into idea sessions and rehearsals, like every Tuesday, we have 5 different OTT sessions. I have one with the entertainment team, the broadcast team, the creative team, the marketing team, the players, and we come up with ideas, hitting entrances, celebrations, things to do in the crowd. And then we put them into our scripts that weekend. And then we do hours of rehearsals. It is an obsession with doing things, and it's hard. It's not easy. You have to have people that love it and love to do new things. And so that's why we're having success. And that's why even the firefighters are building hundreds of thousands of followers in their first week. It's because we're coming up with ideas that are unique to that brand, unique to do, that I think fans will love. And so it's a lot of work, but we love it. And it's a new challenge every single week.
Since you keep bringing up Barnum, right? Like it is interesting to think about the barnstorming aspect of this. When did the idea take root that like let's take this show on the road? Let's let's take it from being kind of a regional collegiate league to being something that we can take all over the place.
Well, constraints foster creativity, and we talk about that a lot. And so when we had a new constraint, which there's lots, and people, if they even knew the constraints that we have, that makes us think differently. And so for us, in 2018, I first wrote the ideas for Banana Ball. I actually called it Show Ball back then. And crazily, when the Hall of Fame called me, and I almost lost my mind that they wanted to do an exhibit for the Bananas, that idea book, that first idea book with the rules, is actually in the Hall of Fame. So 2018 is when I came up with the idea of Banana Ball. But we were in the middle of our Coastal Plain League season. We were playing college wood bat baseball, which that's the original league we were in. So we weren't in like a rush to run anything because we were selling out our games. We were winning championships. It was successful. But then 2020 happened and COVID, and we shut down. And we said, what are all these constraints? We're in this middle of the season. We can't play year round. We don't have control. And it was my wife who actually said, Emily, who also years ago said, when we ran out of money, Jesse, we need to sell our house, which was a whole nother story when we ran out of money. But she said, Jesse, we need to be able to control and be able to be year round. And so we said, well, how do we be year round? Well, we create our own game, and create an exhibition game and see what happens. And so we tested that in 2020 with no fans. We played this Banana Ball game. We're like, whoa, people like this. This is fun. And then we said, well, let's just do one test. And that's how everything starts with one test. And that's when we said, let's just try a one city world tour. And we announced this and we said, which cities want us? And Mobile, the mayor met with us. He read my first book. He's like, we'd love to have you. And I'm like, all right, well, it's a tough choice. We really got to look at all these options. We had no other options. And he goes, well, what'll it take? I go, I don't know, however you can help. He goes, well, can we contribute? Can we do this? I was like, that would be great. That would definitely help. And so they contributed to help make it happen. We went there. We sold out 2 nights, 7,000 fans. And that was the start. Next year, we went to 7 cities, then 33 cities, now Major League stadiums.
You mentioned before, you're not the Harlem Globetrotters, right? It's a competition. Both teams are trying to win, and you don't control that in any way. You control some of the fun around it, right? I love the idea of Banana Ball as it catches on. Now, you've added a third team. I know you've talked about growing it. Is that what's next, that you create a legitimate league, and this is something where different teams are competing for a title?
I think if you zoom out, there's ways of looking at that. I don't want to go too far into it because we're one step at a time, but everything we do is a test, everything. And so as we bring a new team and we see, all right, the Party Animals are doing a headlining tour right now. They're playing in Vegas. They're playing in Greenville. They're playing Greensboro. They sold out Vegas 20,000 tickets as fast as the Bananas sell out their games. So if we know now the Party Animals can sell out games without the Bananas, now maybe the Firefighters can sell out games. Maybe there are opportunities to create something bigger. Most people, when they start a league, they say, we're starting a league. We're going to get a TV rights deal. We're going to get sponsorship. Let's go. We want to create fans first. I think if we create fans, Bananas, 10 million, 15 million followers, Party Animals, 3, 4, 5, Firefighters, 2, 3, whatever it is, and they demand this, that's when we go to it. And I think we'll have some big announcements in the next 4 to 6 months. I'll share that with you.
So you mentioned that, you want fans to demand stuff. Fans are demanding stuff. There are hundreds of thousands of people on the wait list for tickets. It's hard to get into these things. Like how much, as an entertainer, how much is that a source of pride? How much is that a source of frustration that like there is a large unmet demand with regards to this extraordinary thing?
Yeah, as of June, right now, it's 2.7 million on the list. And that is a staggering number, and that's a real number. And so, yes, that's an obligation for us to add more. I mean, we went from 100,000 fans 2 years ago to playing in front of 1 million this year. I mean, that's a pretty good jump, and then next year we'll probably go to 2 million, but it's still not enough. And so that's where we got to keep trying to test and see how we add these more opportunities. But yeah, I think we put ourselves in our fans' shoes. The most frustrating thing for me is the secondary market. Most of those tickets are fake. They're scams. They're speculative, and people are selling for $700, $900, $1,000, and it irks me. Our tickets are $35 to $60 with no ticket fees, no convenience fees, no service fees, and we pay your taxes. Like that's how we do things. And so we're going to keep working on that. We've worked with people with the Masters. We're trying to connect with all the people that have demand on how to make it best for the fans. So that's where I'm mostly focused on, is how do we make sure who got tickets, that the right people get the right tickets, there's no scams, and then how to take care of this demand in the future years. But people say it's a good problem to have. I don't like having problems. I don't like having problems for fans. I want to make sure we take care of as many as possible in the years to come.
All right, Jesse, I got 2 last questions. We're going to let you go, and we'll see you at Fenway. The first one is, This week, the post-game shows with Jonathan Papelbon, who I think he wears his banana onesies to bed every night. You've got him, right? He's all in. The other is Jim Rice. And Pap and I have been trying to explain why he should be at Fenway Park Saturday, but nobody can do that better than you. So tell Jim Rice what he'll see and why he doesn't want to miss the game Saturday.
Well, I think for Jim and anyone else who's never seen it, it'll be a really refreshing way to see a baseball game. And I think there'll be points where you walk out of the game and say, I can't believe what I just saw, and I want to see more. I remember Tim Kirchin did. He's like, what they're doing is the silliest stuff I've ever seen, but I love it, is what he said. And I think that's what people that watch our games would actually get from this. And so Jim and anybody that's made a huge impact in Boston sports, the opportunity to honor, to welcome, to get to see the game as it's evolved and to see young talent and fans and young fans having fun. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to our organization to have people like Jim to see this and to appreciate, how far the game has come and where it could potentially be going in the future. So love to have him, love to have anyone from Red Sox Nation. It really means a lot to us as I've grown up, looking up to so many of these guys.
All right, I want to ask you this last question, Jesse. You've become such a motivational speaker. Companies bring you in, right, because you have followed an idea and a vision far beyond what I think any of us thought you could do with it. Maybe you believed it all along. And again, when you're in the Sphere, I want credit for that because it was my idea first. Okay, but I will have the front row seat at the Sphere. But I do want to ask you, Jesse Cole today in the yellow tux. If you had 30 seconds to go back and talk to Jesse Cole, the 6-year-old going to his Little League game in Scituate, what would you tell him today?
First game I ever played t-ball, I was dragging my bat up to the plate. My dad tells this story. He was in the metal bleachers. I was nervous, shy, introverted kid, afraid. And my dad yelled from the grandstand, Jess, swing hard in case you hit it. And at that moment, obviously, I started swinging hard, and I swung and missed a lot in t-ball. I swung and missed a lot throughout high school. I swung and missed a ton throughout college. But when I hit it, I made pretty good contact. And that mindset has stayed with me every single day. Swing hard in case you hit it. And we're going to keep swinging.
We're glad you followed the advice. The Bananas have been hitting it hard, that's for sure. Can't wait to see you at Fenway Park. Thanks for joining us, Jesse. It's been fun.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys.
Such a great conversation and so cool. You can tell he's genuinely excited to bring this to Fenway Park. I remember him talking about that being a dream when I spoke with him a year or so ago. It does remind me that you can have fun. Like, you could do some of these things, obviously not the burning bat or any of that in a real game. But, I was a long time ago, I was the play-by-play announcer for a minor league hockey team, and Godfrey Wood was our president and CEO. And he was a little nuts. And we did a lot of crazy things. And like a couple of them are straight out of Jesse's playbook. We had the first year, this is the Portland Pirates up in Maine. And the first year in the penalty box, we put a former Miss Maine runner-up, and she was misconduct. And so she was actually the timekeeper, and that became a thing. But was my favorite thing was the second year where, how do you follow that up? Well, we put a overweight, the heavy-set bearded guy, and he was gross misconduct, which I thought was a good follow-up to the following year. But, it's okay to have fun, right? Like we said, I mean, baseball could probably, listen, it's a very serious game, but it's okay to have a little fun while you're competing.
Yeah, and we've been reminded of that for years and years with how minor league baseball has kind of reimagined itself as being a lot more than just a game, right? Like it's an entertainment environment where you can see players with incredible skill and this kind of allure of the future and what promise they harbor. But at the same time, there are a million things to do around the ball game, and of course, we've seen that evolve in Major League Baseball. At a certain pace, the number of things that you can do at a ballpark is very different than what it used to be when we were going to games when we were growing up. But yes, I think that it's been turbocharged by Banana Ball.
No doubt about it. All right, so we got a few minutes left, and you and I talked before. I think this is a great little maybe 3 names each. We'll go back and forth. Past, or maybe present, take your pick. Major league players you think would be great additions to Banana Ball, guys who would have something to give to the Savannah Bananas and would fit in as showmen. What do you got?
Yeah, well, I would start with Jackie Bradley, who I mentioned at the top of the show, just because like the acrobatics that Jackie has always been able to display on the field would be something else. His ability to kind of make those tumbling catches, rolling against the wall, and he's practiced a lot of those. It was so fun back in the day to watch him do things in batting practice, like trying to throw a ball into the bleachers from the foul line, or trying to jump on top of the bullpen wall in right field in Fenway, and then jump up to from that to catch home runs being hit. So he'd be number one for me. How about you, Tom?
I'll go with a different era, and those of us old enough to remember him, a lot of you will have to look him up. But this is a good reason to go Google. He's 74 years old now. Al Raboski, the Mad Hungarian, was the first name that popped into my mind. I mean, he sort of had a banana ball psyche on the mound, didn't he? I mean, just kind of pacing and challenging hitters and huffing and puffing. So that just shows you how bizarre my mind works. But that's the first name that popped in my mind: Al Raboski, the Mad Hungarian.
I like that. I would jump in with Joey Votto, who I know that he hasn't retired at this point, but I just feel like his sensibilities about fandom and baseball as entertainment, the joy that he takes in that aspect of things, I think he would be amazing.
Well, this one's obvious, and I know his shoulder would never allow him to do it, but Dennis Eckersley, right? I mean, Dennis Eckersley, like pointing at guys and slinging at guys and doing his thing on the mound. I mean, he'd be perfect.
Yeah, I think that's a spectacular one. And then I think the final one I would give as a tie between Adrian Beltre and Rafael Devers, who I think are kind of kindred spirits in their kind of quirkiness in the batter's box with the shuffling, and Adrian Beltre back in the day when he would appeal his own swing, and Devers when he'll just kind of like lie in the dirt for a little bit if he's had to slide, just kind of hanging out and chilling and resetting things. I find him to be a tremendously entertainment and quirky player.
And I'm not making this up. I could show you the list. Adrian Beltre was next on my list. So well done there. I just called it Adrian Beltre genuflection, right? When he would be down on one knee and still hit a home run. So I'll go with someone else. He may have already played for them. I don't know this. Brock Holt? Has Brock Holt played for the Bananas? Like, I think he would be perfect. He's
not,
thrown
he should have.
He could have a whole second career with the Bananas. We'll have to ask him because, he threw the slowest strike in Major League history. I have a baseball signed by Brock Holt. Pitcher of the slowest pitch thrown in Major League history is how he signed it. And so he could obviously take that. And Griff could obviously be a 2-for-1 deal. Clearly, Griff, with his incredible swing that we watched develop over the years, would be
and unrivaled charisma.
So,
definitely unrivaled charisma.
Unrivaled charisma. Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah. So the Holts, we'll put the whole Holt family in there. Lakin can sing the national
anthem. Better get ready. Yep.
She doesn't want to play. That was a really fun episode. I really enjoyed that. I hope you had a good time, Alex, because I did.
Yeah, I mean, what an extraordinary, what incredible energy Jesse brings to the equation. And you're right, it is kind of it's just refreshing to see someone who oozes that kind of passion and excitement for what baseball can be. And we've talked about it with Jonathan Papelbon, how much it did kind of rekindle some of his joy in the sport. So they've obviously tapped into something that's very special in terms of the baseball as entertainment space.
Rolling into Fenway Park, I avoided the low-hanging fruit of making the joke that it will be the first sellout since opening day. That's a discussion for another day. It really, I had to go there. Sorry, I had to just take the quick jump. But 6 major league ballparks all sold out. What they say, over 2 million people on the waiting list. Just an incredible success story. So if you're one of the lucky few, see you at Fenway Park this Saturday when the Savannah Bananas roll into town. And whether you are there or not, we hope to see you next time on 310 to Left. For Alex Beer, I'm Tom Karen. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.